The Shure SM7B. You would never have this question. But lots of times I'll tell people what microphone I use and they'll say, why don't you use the Shure SM7B? Because it's not the only microphone out there, but it is one of the best and one of the most popular, especially for broadcasters. It's a fantastic microphone. Do you know when it came out? It's been around for a while. It's been like a staple in the industry for forever. Shure has decided to try to finally beat it. And they released a microphone. Does it say it on the front? Yeah, look at that. Podcast microphone. For podcasting, home recording, and gaming. I didn't actually realize it said that on there. Microphone for gamers. So, let's unbox this. Do you want to unbox this?
Yes, please.
All right, Ryan's gonna unbox this. Huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Owns.tv. Owned is your one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic needs, whether it's overlays, alerts, panels, profile pictures, whatever you need, they've got it. Plus, there's a brand new one in there called Alpha Gaming, and that's not just a coincidence. I actually worked with them on this and we modeled it after the designs on this channel and it looks phenomenal. So if you'd like to make the smart move like many from the community have already done and you'd like to pick up that overlay or any of their fantastic looking overlays, feel free to use the link in the description below. That also supports the channel when you use it. And if you'd like 40% off, use code ALPHA when you check out. Also, before we jump into this unboxing, if you have more questions about this microphone or audio or microphones in general, feel free to jump into my stream or Ryan's stream. We both stream on Twitch. Links to that in the description down below. We both spend a lot of time answering questions, whether it's about audio or something completely different. So feel free to jump on in. We'll see you there. To the unboxing.
I'm pretty excited for this, honestly. I've used the SM7 and SM7B for many years in studio recording applications. I use a 7B on stream now. I'm super excited to see what they've done. There are literally no audio specs on this box. It looks like it's very targeted towards the streaming market. There's no nerdy numbers on this. Airlock style. This is a sturdy box. Let me make sure I open it the right way. And there it is. Wow. The first thing that surprised me was the color. First impressions, if we're comparing it to the SM7B, it feels lighter. It's obviously smaller, little stubby guy. I'm gonna take the pop filter off. Just curious what it looks like underneath, honestly. Huh. Very interesting. This is very different looking from the SM7B. This looks like more of a traditional handheld mic grill. Cool. Very signature kind of mount system. On the back here you can see XLR, USB, and a headphone jack. And then you got some features on the side here. A mute button, a volume meter it looks like, plus or minus. And then it looks like a microphone and a headphone split. And then just a mute button. MV7, everybody.
All right, I want to take a look at this. We've got the SM7B right here. Let's take a look at the difference between the two. Here, what do you think?
It's nice.
Yeah, it's a stubby little guy. It's not as heavy, but it is still a thick microphone. This is what an SM7B looks like without the pop filter. It's not a balanced microphone.
Well, it is balanced, but not in sound terms.
I hate that joke. This looks like an SM58 underneath. Hold on. Let's see if we can go deeper. Get all the way down to the capsule itself. There you go. And there is the actual capsule. It is interesting that it looks like they put time into how this looks in case people wanted it without this. I wonder if there's a difference in sound between the two. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to do a couple of tests on this guy and we're gonna see who this microphone is for. First thing we're gonna test out is we're gonna test it against this guy. So this is a $249 microphone. This is a $400 microphone. You can see it's got an XLR port right here, and we've got a USB and headphone jack. Headphone jack you'd only use if you're plugged in USB. So you can do both, and then it's got all these options right here on the microphone. You wanna zoom in on this? Take a look. You got a mute button right here. Looks like maybe like a volume slider right here. I don't know, I'll have to plug it in. And then a button that probably toggles between controlling your headphones and your microphone. That's what I assume this is. So this like you switch between controlling your headphones and your volume, and then you change the volume of whatever's selected on this guy, is my guess. Let's plug it in and let's try it out. Let's see what everything does. So you can see above the microphone it's selected right now. Oh. Can you tap it? No, no tapping. You can see as you slide across it, the volume goes up and down. It takes more than one full... It just went orange. Oh, I tapped that. Okay, so when it's on microphone mode, it's in green. When it's in headphone mode, it's in orange. And these are capacitive buttons, so there's no actual pressing. It's just a tap. And then there's the mute. It's got a red light on it. I wonder what that lock is. How do you turn on that lock? There's... Oh. And if you hold it, you get that blend option. Okay. That's interesting. So like how much of your voice are you hearing versus how much of your game are you hearing? Yeah, that's nice. I assume the microphone looks green, so I assume the green is how much of your microphone you hear, and the orange is hearing more of the whatever's coming from the PC. All right. That's fancy. So let's run a couple tests on this. Let's do a side-by-side comparison with the XLR first. I'd like to see how this really stacks up against the SM7B. This mic is $249. This mic is $399. Let's also throw in the Rode Pod mic, which is a $100 dynamic mic. That's also XLR. So let's plug all three of these into the same interface. Let's see if we can hear a difference between them and really see if this thing's any good. Then let's do a USB test and let's compare this to another USB dynamic mic. We'll go with the Samson Q2U because I have one and I get a lot of people telling me they love that microphone. So we'll compare this to that, which is, I want to say it's only $80 to $85 on Amazon. And lastly, just to answer a question I know a lot of you are going to ask, let's do it against the Elgato Wave so you can see what the differences between a dynamic mic and a condenser mic are. Cool? All right, let's plug these all in. Before we get into the test, this is actually super interesting, worth noting. If you take a look at the gain levels over here, number 1 is the SM7B, number 2 is the MV7, the new one, and they're both set to the same exact gain. They're both set to 60 decibels of gain. And you can see how much louder the MV7 is. Let's turn up the pod mic also to 60 dB of gain and see where that's at. Check, check, check. Yeah, just look at how much louder both of those microphones are than the SM7B. This is why you usually need a cloud lifter with this, but it looks like you're not gonna need a cloud lifter with the MV7 at all. So let's even out all the levels between the three for this test, and let's boost this one up a bit. There we go. Maybe boost the pod mic up a little bit too. Cool, and that's what we're gonna test this at.
Hey, have you ever used StreamBeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube?
Oh yeah, in fact, one time I used StreamBeats and I grew 2 inches in height.
All right, let's give this a listen. Start with the SM7B. Hey, have you ever used StreamBeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube?
Oh yeah, in fact, one time I used StreamBeats and I grew 2 inches.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, have you ever used StreamBeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube?
Oh yeah, in fact, one time I used StreamBeats and I grew 2 inches in height.
Both sound good. The SM7B has much more of the lower boomier, kind of, what do you call it, podcasty, radio hosty thing. The MV7 does not have as much of that. Feels like the MV7, the high, kind of, it's a little harsher sounding. There's like high mid boosts compared to the SM7B in flat mode. I mean, it sounds good. If I had to choose one, sound quality wise, I'd still choose the SM7B. It just feels like there's more there that it feels like it's recording more of the full spectrum, so I can EQ it later. I have a feeling you're not gonna like how the MV7 sounds as much.
Was it mid-head?
Yeah, some of that mid stuff that, like, for me, it's really adds a lot of intelligibility, but it's a little maybe on the harsher side to listen to. Less smooth. Hey, have you ever used StreamBeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube?
Oh yeah, in fact, one time I used StreamBeats and I grew 2 inches in height.
Wow. The pod mic is kind of in between. It still has a little of the low boomy stuff, but it's not as like harsh in the high end as the MV7. I think the biggest thing I was reacting to is that the pod mic doesn't have that mid-high boost that the MV7 has. So it does feel smoother and more low emphasized. It makes it feel like there's more emphasis on the lows because there's less of that high mid boost that's in the MV7. But hey, have you ever used Streambeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube? Hey, have you ever used Streambeats, the best copyright-free music for streaming and YouTube?
Yeah, there's a lot more mid in the MV7. I agree.
If you had to choose between two of them.
Well, let me listen on my voice. That's what I want to really hear it on. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. I actually like the MV7 more on my voice.
Really?
Yeah, the SM7B is still pretty muddy. Like it's definitely like low mid heavy.
Yeah.
It's not just like low heavy. Like there's a lot of thickness in there. And I'm not crazy about that sound. That's one of the reasons. I mean, it's a great microphone. It's just not for me. The MV7, I feel just on my voice, that's already a deep voice. And that might be the problem, is my voice is already so deep that going into the SM7B, it's just so much low end that it feels just a little more balanced with the MV7 where it accentuates the highs a little bit. I'd still want to boost up like the high highs and maybe cut out around 1K in the EQ. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. I actually really like the sound of the pod mic.
I really like that mic. It's smooth, but still.
Yeah, it's still got a little bit more like high end emphasis. Yeah. It's not as harsh as the MV7. That's really interesting. I want to hear what the MV7 sounds like with a little bit of a high boost and a tiny bit of a mid cut. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. Ooh. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. Let me see if I can give it a little bit of extra bass. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches. Oh yeah. I just put a little bit of a mid scoop on that and a little bit of a high boost. Here, you take a listen. See if you like my EQ. I'm gonna turn it off. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats. Oh yeah. In fact, one time I used Streambeats and I grew 2 inches.
Sounds very smooth.
I mostly just wanted to point out like how there are differences in these mics, but like at the end of the day, if you can do some simple EQ, any mic is doable.
Yeah, they're all pretty full spectrum microphones. So it's not like you're missing information. So if you're able to EQ stuff, you can boost things and make it sound to your liking, and you can cut things as well. So
I think the more important part of this microphone is how are the features, how does it function on its own as a USB mic?
Yeah,
so let's try that.
Cool. One time I listened to Streambeats and I grew my first beard. One time I listened to Streambeats and I grew my first beard.
I think we got a bad Samson.
Really?
Yeah, here, plug this in. Yeah.
One time I listened to Streambeats and I grew my first beard.
That's why we were having problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a bummer. Obviously we got kind of a bum microphone. I just took it out of the box, but I've heard good things about the Samson Q2U. So I assume it's a good one. So let's talk about what we can see in a difference between the two. In terms of just like style and interface. Like they've made this microphone, the Q2U, as minimal as you can possibly make it. I mean, I've said it over a bunch. Like, I'm not crazy about the design. Like, it looks like a cheap stage microphone. It doesn't look like a broadcast microphone. Anybody who's played a live show knows you never have an on-off switch on your stage mic. It just looks super tacky. And the only control you have is this up and down button that aren't quite flush. Like I'm giving it a hard time because I'm just not crazy about how this thing looks. But these buttons only control the headphone volume. That's everything it does. So there's no blend, there's no changing the microphone gain, which you can do in Windows software itself, so it's not a big deal. But that's kind of all you've got. But it's like $80, which is obviously the main draw to this microphone. Whereas I have really enjoyed how this microphone works. Like the whole slider interface, being able to choose between mic volume and headphone volume and a blender knob between the two is, as well as a mute button right on the microphone. It's a good microphone, and I really like the style. Like this is a microphone I would be okay with putting front and center on my stream. And for $250, it's a good dynamic microphone. Like Shure does a good job. Anything you agree with, disagree? Anything I'm missing?
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Nailed it. I'm curious to see if anyone uses it like this.
That looks so funny. Dude.
It's super weird.
It's like
a Russian nesting doll situation, but you only took it halfway out. Let's do, just for the people who are new to microphones and want to understand the difference between a dynamic and a condenser, let's take this microphone and a condenser microphone, the Elgato Wave, let's put it in the kitchen or the bathroom.
Yeah.
And just show you guys the difference between the mics.
So we figured we'd end this video here in the kitchen to give you an example of what a dynamic mic sounds like versus a condenser, especially in an echoey room. The biggest thing you'll notice is that as Harris is making a bunch of noise back there, this dynamic microphone will pick up much less of that than the condenser.
Yeah, if I'm talking in the background, you'll probably hear me really well on the Elgato Wave, but you're not going to hear me very well on the Shure MV7.
It's just wrecking stuff.
Excuse me.
It's so good. I'm pretty stoked about the MV7. The fact that you have this good sounding microphone that is plug and play out of the box, you can use it as a USB, is really awesome for content creators. Another cool thing is I love how if you wanted to upgrade to an interface and use the XLR at some point in the future, then you already have a microphone to do that with. You don't need to buy a different microphone for that. So overall, I'm really excited that Shure is tailoring this stuff to content creators. Reminder that Harris and I both stream on Twitch. Links are in the description below. And let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. If you have any opinions, things that we missed, etc., let us know in the comments. And as always, happy listening.